Yo sup, this is NY3. I haven't made a video for a while, so I thought I might make one and give an update to the Zefra deck profile. The past couple of sets haven't been very interesting to me. The only cool cards I like that have been released were the Dragoonity stuff, but since Celestial Spheres and Needle Fiber aren't coming out, and Summon Sorceress is American only, there's really nothing going for that deck, so the current format I'm still sticking with Zefra. But yeah, we might as well just start off right now. Running 9 Zefra monsters, 3 Zefrath, 2 Zefra New, Zefra Thorben, Zefra Exciton, Zefra Windy, and Zefra Empilica. So Zefrath is still the best one, you always want to open it, so it's at 3. If you don't open it, you have to Electrum for it, and if you're Electruming for Zefrath, that means you're not Electruming for things like Jackal. I still believe in the 4 scale 7 lineup, since Zefrath is going to be paired with a low scale most of the time. You're going to be dumping a scale 7 with Zefrath into your extra deck turn after turn. Zefra New is doubled up on because it's the best one. Quite often you have to banish the first Zefra New for Zefra Divine Strike, so you need the second one. Now the other thing is, sometimes your low scale is locked on 4 or 5, which means you're going to be exclusively pendulum summoning 6s. So that's just another place where the second Zefra New might come up. Yeah, Zefra Thorben, Zefra Exciton, spot removal, pretty standard. Zefra Windy is really good. It's probably the second best one right now after Zefra New, since it is a +1. And not only that, it combos really well with Chronograph, because you need pendulum monsters in your hand to spam summon Chronograph, getting 3 Electrums for free. And yeah, this is just a highly searchable +1 pendulum monster. Zefra Windy, you can also get it off twice a turn, once off the normal summon and once off the pendulum summon. So you can get like a +2 off her in one turn, which is pretty nice. Also, if your scale is locked on 4 or 5, with your other scale being like a 0 or 1, you can still pendulum summon the Windy. So like times where you can't pendulum summon the Zefra New, you can pendulum summon the Zefra Windy, which is nice. Zefra Empilica is taking the place of Zefraxy. That's because this build will actually have Zefra in the graveyard, since I am running Dragon's Ravine. For the rest of the pendulums, the Chronograph engine. Chronograph is actually probably the best card in the deck right now. Chronograph can be a high scale or low scale with its pendulum effect, since you don't have to summon the Time Gazer with this guy, you can also put it in the scale. And since I'm running no other magicians in this deck, Time Gazer is always going to be a scale 4 in this deck. In other words, Chronograph can be a scale 8 or 4, which means it's a low scale to go with Zefrath. So the only 2-card combination of Zefrath and another pendulum that can't pendulum summon Zefra New without it already being in the extra deck would be these 4. Every other pendulum is a low scale in this deck, even itself. Yeah, the only thing bad about Time Gazer is if you draw off the Electrum, you can't scale it. That's come up a few times, pretty annoying. Mythical Beast engine, triple Cerberus, 1 Jackal, 1 Garuda. Jackal's down to 1. It was only at 2 because of Astrograph. There's no decks out there that requires you to negate 2 monsters in 1 turn. Garuda is just the best hand trap. You bounce so many things. You bounce Hornet tokens, you can bounce 2 Go keys at the same time off the rematch. It's just 1 additional layer of negate when there's nothing else you want to be searching with the Electrum. Its back row popping effect also makes it a highly searchable main deck out to Floodgates, like Rivalry. They have to hard draw their Rivalry, you can just search you out, which makes it so statistically favored for you to win those matchups. And of course, Garuda is highly recyclable, so every time you resolve Electrum, you could grab Garuda back, just popping a back row every turn. And in addition to Garuda, of course, we have the Zefras, Zefra Thorben, Zefra Exciton to out Floodgates, and we also have Zefra War, all of which are highly searchable. Taking the 1 Performer Power Odd Ice Dissolver, the only fusion I'm running is the Vortex. You can fuse into other things with it, but I don't think it's worth the extra deck space. Yeah, Vortex is a pretty good card. you bounce one of their guys, Dissolver going second, you summon a guy, attack, you drop this guy in the damage step, you attack over something, main phase 2, you vortex, bounce something, and then you have a negate. And the cool thing is, since everyone's running Sky Strikers, they're going to be giving you a point in the main monster zone, so if you summon the vortex in that zone, you still have your extra monster zone open to summon Electrum and just go off, while the vortex acts as an additional layer of protection against hand traps. So yeah, ideally you don't want to like just run over the Shizuku. You want to drop vortex main phase 2, bounce the Shizuku, they try to Ray from the graveyard and you can vortex the Ray, essentially breaking the cycle. This card doesn't sound very good on paper, but when you run it, it's just pretty good for some reason. 0, triple Dark Room, and 1 Destrudo, so these 4 are the Graveyard Brigade. So I'm maxing out on Dark Room because I am running the Ravine build. Dark Room also have same argument as Zefra Wendy, in which it gives you free pendulums to your hand for Chronograph to work with. But most importantly, there's a lot of Goki running around, and they want to Gumbler you. So if you manage to discard a Dark Room or Destrudo of their Gumbler, you can probably win that duel, since you're now working with 3 cards instead of 2 cards after they Gumbler you for 4. Since the only thing that Neospatian Aquadolphin is hitting is 0 or Zephyr, you're never gonna be down by 5. So yeah, if you discard one of these, you're working with 3 cards. After they negate something with Trigate, you still have 2 cards, which is probably enough to win. It's a shame if they have the Call by the Grave, which is gonna be used exclusively on these things, since this deck doesn't run any hand traps that it can hit. But yeah, the rest of the monsters, Cyframes, pretty good for going both first and second. Spells, triple Providence, triple Oracle, triple Terraforming, Set Rotation, Ravine, triple Shrine, and Foolish. So yeah, 9 ways to dump the Dark Worm or the Destrudo, 10 ways to get the Zefra, so we're essentially running 3 Zefra. Terraforming is a really good draw bait to get your Gamma off. The Shrines and Foolishes actually makes the Gamma worse, because if your first play is summoning Darkroom from the graveyard and searching the 0, you're shutting off your Gamma, which is why the Terraformings work really well there. Set Rotation is probably like the best card in the format. It stops Impermanence and Evenly Match, which pretty much everyone is running 3 of each. So yeah, it's really hard to lose if you open this without this. Also, a lot of decks this format are reliant on their field spells. So if you lock out Meltdown, Light Stage, Diagram, or Area 0, it's really hard for them to play, and you're running a natural Oracle to screw them up. Also, if you're up against Burning Abyss, this completely shuts down all of their Burning Abyss monsters from special summoning themselves. Yeah, this card is just nuts. The last 3 cards are the 3 traps: Pillars, Strike, and War. Main deck total 46. Extra deck, Mermaid and Phoenix. So these 2 are probably optional now, so you could run anything in this place if you want. These were pretty important before because they served 3 purposes, so it's 2 cards that served 3 purposes in the extra deck. One was outing Floodgates, this was to out Ibli, and the third was generic downwards pointing Link 2 as an alternative to Electrum when Electrum gets cherried. So for example, if Master Cerberus was in your extra monster zone, and you had another monster and they cherries you at that point, your Zefrath would be dead if you didn't have an alternate Link 2 that points down to pendulum summon the Zephyr from the extra deck. And yeah, Phoenix turning into Mermaid just does just that. Yeah, those were the 3 reasons why they were in my extra deck. It's kind of just down to one reason now, which is the Phoenix outing Floodgates. But nowadays, it kind of lost two of its purposes. Nowadays, if they give you Ibli, you're probably gonna be extra linked, so Mermaid doesn't really do that anymore, but you still have to run it to make Phoenix point downwards. And if they cherish you, we got a better alternative now. Lampholinkus just came out. So yeah, these two are completely cuttable for anything you feel like. The only downside for Lampholinkus as a link 2 is that it can't make Deco Talker or Borrowload since it's not an effect monster. The rest of the link 2s, triple Electrum. Without Astrograph, you can't really OTK with 2. Most chronograph based combos go through all 3 to do 8000, so and not only that, 3 Electrum comes up in the grind anyways. Link 3's Decode Talker and Metatron. Decode is just really good this format. You can even kind of count it as 2 extra negates against most decks. Going in blind game 1, I would probably make the Decode Talker. It completely shits on the Sky Striker matchup. All of their board breaking cards target. Against Goki it doesn't matter, they have no chance if they're going second anyways. And it just randomly destroys things like the Draco matchup. The only matchups where you don't want Deco Talker going first is like Mech Knight Invoked or something. Metatron, we can actually bring Metatron back now with Zefra and Pilica because we're running that. But it's not that relevant since we don't have any rank 4s other than Borrowload Dragon, which can't be made with a Link 3 and another dude anyways. But yeah, Borrowload Dragon is still nuts, it outs everything. For the Synchros, so these are the Strudo targets. Dawn Dragster, Black Rose, and Yazi. So Dawn Dragster has pretty much replaced the Meteor Burst and Absolute combo. There's like 1 slot for 2. Although that combo does have its upsides, like Dawn Dragster, if you ogre it, it gets negated since it can't lose levels. Black Rose comes up a lot, especially in cider games where you side in Red Reboot. If you can't OTK them, you want to at least Black Rose them. Works really well with the Providence protecting all your Zefra scales and stuff. Works really well with Oracle, chain blocking, you know, their Outer Guys protocol and stuff from negating Black Rose. And Yazi is still here. Yazi only has 2 Yang Zings to summon in the deck now, which is the 2 Zefra new. So quite a lot of the time, its second effect isn't going to go off, but its second effect is what makes it really good, since it pops 1 and gives you a pendulum on the field to go into Electrum. So it's kind of like a Synchro Pendulum, but also pops 1. Oh yeah, the other thing about Black Rose is, if you're unsure what their back row is, like if you think it might be a scapegoat, just go ahead and Black Rose it. But yeah, Yazi with 1 less Zefraxi does make it kind of not as good a lot of the time, but it's still pretty good. Yazi is, you know, also pretty cool just as a standalone monster that can't be targeted if you really need to. Another cool thing to note is that since you're pretty much making these things exclusively with the Strudo as a tuner, the Strudo is a Dark Dragon, so if you need to out a rivalry, Darkworm plus the Strudo into Black Rose, all of them are dragons. If you need to out a Goza match, you know, Darkworm or any other Dark you run, plus the Strudo into Yazi, they're all Darks. Yeah, it's just another cool reason to carry both of these. For the Cyframe targets, Scrap Dragon and Omega still. These are the ones that clear themselves out from the extra monster zone so that you can summon the guys that matter. Sometimes these guys get impermanence and they get stuck in the extra monster zone, which is where, again, Lampholinkus comes in. And the final card in the extra is Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon for the Dissolver. But yeah, no exceeds because we're racist. So we might as well take this opportunity to go over an example hand, just for those people who aren't that familiar with this deck, to see how this deck usually plays. But yeah, we'll open up a random hand, and yeah, hopefully we don't brick. Okay, yeah, this hand is pretty nuts actually. This is one of the better hands you can hope for. So yeah, the first play would probably be Dragon Shrine to bait the Ash. This is usually the correct time to Ash against the Pendulum deck. But you know, we already have the Dark Worm in our hand, so we want this to be ashed. If this doesn't go through, then we terraforming for Ravine, discarding the Dark Room. If this doesn't get ashed, then we simply dump a Dark Room. Next, we probably want to play around Draw. So, yeah, Providence first. To grab Zefra Divine Strike. That way, if we get drawed at this point, we can use Zefra to put a Zefra into the extra deck and still have one form of disruption. It's not much, but against Goki, it's probably game ending for them, just one layer of negate. But yeah, if that doesn't happen, then we Dark Worm for gate 0. Next up, probably Zefrath for Zefra New. So we want to get this out of the way early, so we know how to play the rest of our turn, because if they have the Ogre for Zefrath, then we will play a lot differently. But yeah, assuming that they don't, we can just go ahead and play normally. Now, terraforming for Oracle, there isn't really anything we want to discard at this point. Yeah, none of these we really want to discard, so we might as well just Oracle for Windy and get a +1. So normal Windy, add, make Electrum. Yeah, the right extra monster zone is better this format, since if you're versing anything that runs Sky Strikers, they're gonna want to end on their Shizuku. If their Shizuku is here, then you get 3 zones. If their Shizuku is here, then you only get 2 zones, because it's already pointing to something that's already being pointed to by Electrum. If you're versing Goki, it's probably better to summon on the left, since Goki players usually start their combos on their right, which is our left, extra linking to the other side. So you take them out of their normal game. And that might be a bad thing, because you'll probably go into time, because they're like not familiar with how to do it from the other side. Yeah, and like the time rules are pretty bullshit right now. So I don't know, maybe you want to avoid that and just like... But yeah, anyways, Electrum effect. Throwing Jackal into the extra. Yeah, grabbing the Windy plays around Ogre on the Electrum. Because if they Ogre the Electrum, you can still summon both Zefra New and Jackal. Whereas if the Zefra New was still in the extra deck, then you can only summon one but not the other. But yeah, we'll scale the 0. Pinned 4. Zefra New, search 9 Palouse. Before we proceed, it's probably best to see what the Electrum draws. So Electrum pops 0, grabbing Windy, and we'll draw 1. Okay, yeah, whatever. Here, if we drew a Chronograph or the Performer Pal Dissolver, we would make another Electrum and put the one that we didn't draw into the extra deck and get pop something, summon both the Chronograph and the Dissolver, and make a Vortex Dragon in addition to our field. But since we didn't, we'll probably just make Deco Talker. Yeah, the reason we added the Zefra Windy back was so that we have 2 Zefra skills for Zefra War. Yeah, we might as well activate it, get 2 counters on the Jackal. You can still make the second Electrum if you want. Popping the Oracle to add... You could add Garuda if you want, but Jackal only has 2 spell counters on it at this point. Garuda uses 3 and Jackal itself uses 2, so you need 5 to use both of them. So it's going to be heavily reliant on your opponent activating a bunch of spells, which is possible. Like, they engage and then they Hornet and you're already on 6. You can, you know, Garuda the Hornet Drone or something. Alternatively, you could also add the dissolver protects a pendulum from dying. So your Jackal's only 2/4. If you're versing something like Mech Knight Invoked, purple is 2/5. So they might summon purple, try run over the Jackal, and start doing things in the battle phase or in the rest of the battle phase or the main phase too. And Dissolver can stop that, and then Jackal still has its negate left. So yeah, but going in blind, I would probably just make the Deco Talker here. Yeah, and set these. Yeah, this is pretty good. You have the Jackal negate. You have the Pillars negate. After you negate, you search the War. We have 2 scales. War, we get a free pop because we have an Oracle. Oh, well, you don't have to pop the Oracle. You can pop the Windy if you want. We don't have the Electrum to get a free draw on their turn, but Windy as a skill is not very good. We can, yeah, it's Zefra skill. And then we also have the Divine Strike negate. So yeah, that's a pretty standard for negate field. And if they're playing like Sky Strikers, then we essentially have 6 negates because Deco Talker just stops their Afterburner, defense thingy, Widow Anchor. And they probably run Twin Twisters as well. You stop that as well. You get like, yeah, 2 negates on these targeting effects with Decode.